But
Anyway,
you were talking. You're talking about Ray's dad,
and he was a plumber, just by profession, I guess. I didn't know all this, but Phil was about a junior in high school. What would that make? 16, 17? He committed suicide.
Really?
Phil's hard. I think depression, no money, couldn't feed the kids. Phil didn't know this. He just knew he was, I don't know, he shot himself. I don't know how he ended his life.
But Phil and Ray
were bosom buddies for life.
Right. And
they come up for Phil's funeral. But then a year, maybe two less, Ray died. And Carol and I went down to Fort Myers, North Fort Myers, I guess it was called, to Ray's funeral. And Carol we came in the back because we weren't, they knew it was a mobile home park, and Ray knew a lot of people. There was a musician there and to his party. And Carol just looked at me and it's like we're at Dad's funeral all over again. It hadn't been that long, but I thought but we were friends for life. And I don't have any more like it. And Maria, I don't mean friends, because I moved away from my friends.
Yeah.
That was hard.
Well, you still have Bob and Ann.
Yeah, but
But you
2000. We talk about twice a year. And they said, and I haven't heard from during the holidays, Bob must have called me one day, because he's having a rough time with Nancy and he said, we're coming down to see you. I said, oh, that's when are you coming? He said, in March. Bob's birthday's in March, Ann's birthday's in March, and mine's in March. He said, we're going to have a birthday party. Maybe just 3 of us, I don't know. And he said, we decided we were coming down in March. I said, oh, that's fine. He says, yeah, we figured we'll just have one big party. I said, and I'm going to be the youngest, because I'm not going to, we were 89. I said, in 90, we won't talk about that. But I haven't heard, now, I know he was going to California. Well, Nancy's in a home. And that's not going well at all. And it just breaks my heart. I can't help. But she's only 72, something like that.
Really?
She's the youngest in our family.
Okay.
But I've always known there was something, I could see it 15 years ago.
Really?
Like she wasn't quite there. And I don't know whether it was, it's all that's called Alzheimer's now, but maybe it was her personality. I don't know. Because after Bob lost his job years ago, he bought the strawberry farm. Well, it was just an acreage. And he built a strawberry farm. And you come, you pick them. And then his mother-in-law, Nancy's mother, would come down. They build a barn, and they'd weigh it, and that's how much you paid for your strawberries. It was a whole different world for him. But they sold.
Yeah. Well, that was pretty bold stuff.
Yeah, it was. And I don't know whether Bob had any savings. I don't know. Or maybe...
But it was successful.
Yeah, and they had it for several years. I don't remember how many. I'd be making it up. 6, 7 years, maybe longer than that. And then it got to be too much work. And because they raised blueberries and all sorts of asparagus.
Yeah.
But mainly strawberries.
Yeah.
And
so that was his full-time
job.
And he didn't know anything about farming.
Nothing. He went to some state aid
to
teach you how to grow strawberries.
Really?
Grow this. And they gave you a loan. He told me the amount, but I'd make it up. It was $1,000, maybe $2,000. I don't know. It was not a big amount.
And did they hired people?
No. Nancy and Bob and Nancy's mother.
And they had a tractor and
They bought a tractor, small. One was not a big farm there. He loved his strawberry farm. They were freezing strawberries, making strawberry jam. But mainly people picked theirs.
But farming's hard work.
Oh yeah, labor.
Every day.
Yeah.
Oh.
It's very short season too. Strawberries up there. Down here, it's a long season. I mean, we had strawberries long before anybody else had strawberries. And after they gave out, we get them from California.
You remember when they were kids, Bob and Ann?
Oh, they were, yeah, I remember.
Yeah.
I could have killed Bob many times.
Yeah. Really?
Well, he was a little kid, and I was a big kid.
Yeah.
And my mother, who was the sweetest thing that was ever born, Bob needed a nap. I said, well, put him, make him lay down. Bob, the only way he's going to lay down is if you lay down with him. I lay down with that kid, and I could mow the head. I was, as he was wiggle and so sit down.
So how much older are you?
No, 8 or 9.
8 years.
Mhm.
8 years. Yeah.
So.
You weren't quite grown up, but you wanted to be grown up.
Oh, I wanted to. I didn't want a little
And then,
snotty little brother, 2-year-old,
right. And then Ann was older
2 years
than,
younger.
younger than.
Nancy and
Oh,
was in the
okay.
family.
So it was 10 years difference between
Oh,
you
something
two.
like 9/11 or something like that.
Right.
But, and then after that, my father had problems. So I guess that's life, though.
And how many years did you live in Amboy?
Oh, not long.
Not long.
Less, maybe a year and a half to 2. In
It
that
just
range. I
gets-
can't say the months.
More stories get told about that because that's where Dad lived.
Yeah, right.
But you didn't know Dad when you lived in Amboy.
Yeah, we lived up over the train station.
I know, but did you know Dad?
Yes.
Phil,
Oh, no. Oh, I met him.
when you lived there?
Yeah.
But you didn't really know him very well. You
Oh,
weren't
no.
like friends.
No,
and-
no.
How old were you?
I was married at 20.
No, how old were you
19.
when you lived at the...
18.
Oh, really?
Yeah. I worked in Dixon. There was a carpool. There was 4 men. Well, I could name the women, but you wouldn't know
So that is where you and Dad first met
Right.
when you lived...
in Dixon.
No,
And
in Amboy.
Then we moved to Amboy.
No, but when you lived in the
Amboy.
train station,
Uh-huh.
that's where you first met.
And now that's a museum.
Right. But that's how you first met
Yeah.
and got to know Dad. So you go, oh, there's that nice young man over there. He's all
I
right.
have to think. Either he was a saint or I was. No, it must have been him, because not me. I didn't know him that well when we got married. But we worked through it.
But,
And he turned out to be a best
well,
thing that ever happened
but a
to
lot
me.
of people's marriages back then
Oh, I know.
happened though.
War.
They met a month, and a month later, they were married,
And a month after that, you were pregnant.
and then he was
Gone.
gone, and you didn't see him for a year or two. So,
Yeah. So,
and now he didn't go straight overseas.
went to California for training, as whatever plane, I mean, I'd have to research it. And then he went to Texas,
Right.
and that's when he had a plane crash in Texas.
But did you stay in Dixon
Yeah.
the whole time
Hmm.
until he came back from the war?
And then we went to Garden City.
That's your honeymoon.
Yeah, Garden City, Kansas.
Lifestyle.
And that sounds nice.
Yeah.
Well, it was just a little hole in the road. Nothing, maybe a car going this way and a car going this way. And he went off to work, to the air base, for 10 to 12 hours and left little me bride alone in an apartment. If I wasn't homesick.
You didn't live in Garden City.
Yes, we did.
You honeymooned.
Well, yeah, I lived there though.
I thought you
Oh.
just honeymooned in Garden City.
No. We lived there.
That's where your honeymoon was, right?
We went to, we had a 5-day honeymoon up in Wisconsin.
Oh, so your first home was Garden City, Kansas.
Doesn't that sound like a nice place?
Oh, I've been to Kansas. I know what Kansas
Garden
is like.
City.
I have to name
Oh, I
them.
was so lonesome.
Yeah.
He would come home and I would be. We had basement room,
Yeah.
and when somebody's home, because all the little town was filled with.
This is after the war.
No, before the war.
Oh, so you moved out there before he went overseas.
Uh-huh.
And did you move to San Antonio?
No, we lived to Missouri, Sykeston, Missouri.
Sykeston.
Isn't there a little air
Okay.
base there? And he was going for, but this little apartment, I don't say apartment, room, was in somebody's home, and one room was for a couple that lived, I mean, more air-based people. And I was in the basement, because that's all there was left. And he would go off for 12 hours, and there was one little bed, maybe a dresser, I don't know, I just remember a bed. A little mouse would crawl across the floor, and I'd be up. And a little mouse would crawl back. I didn't hardly get out of that bed except go to the potty. And then I was pregnant right away and had to run upstairs to vomit. And run downstairs and get in the bed so the mouse wouldn't get me. And I think that was a lot for a bride. I was a bride.
And you were 20?
20.
And Dad was 20?
7. He's 7 years difference. So when he'd come home, I would cry and cry and cry. We really couldn't afford to. I couldn't afford to go home. And I was a bride. I wanted to go to see my mother.
You're everything. You never lived anywhere but Dixon in your whole life. You lived in 4 or 5 different homes.
Yeah.
But it was always Dixon.
Yeah. But I never lived, after I got married, I never lived at home. I lived at Phil's mother. She had a bigger house.
Okay.
Which, not this house, but,
All right, so,
you know, that's
so when Dad was deployed, you moved
I would have lived in
back.
Sykeston, Missouri. And Uncle Billy, and I was pregnant, Uncle Billy and I think it was Pat came down to drive me back to Amboy. And Uncle Billy hadn't driven in years. We had a wreck on the way home because he was going, I don't know if he was going fast or didn't have control. But we went around the corner and hit another car, and I thought, oh, please God. My baby is what I was worried about, which I was only like 4 or 5 months. I don't know, something like that. But I thought, well, he was doing the best he could, and we got home, I mean, gratefully, the engine. But we'd have to redo all these reports and what have you, but I thought, it was a nice, and Phil, of course, when the Lauer family had a depression, I mean, they had to move in.
Now, so you went back to Amboy
Amboy.
and lived at,
And Dad went overseas.
in what did you call Grandma?
I never called her Catherine, so I must.
Call her Mother?
I don't think I did for a while.
Where'd you call her Mrs.
I think I
Hammond?
called her Mrs. Hammond for,
Yeah.
and then after the baby was born, she became a grandma. So
No, where was the baby born?
I was in Amboy, but the baby was born in Dixon Hospital.
At the hospital. Right.
And so my mother, I didn't know much about having a baby. I had cramps, you know. I mean, I didn't know how soon the baby. I knew I was due around then. But everybody was in bed, and I got up and went to the bathroom, came back. About an hour later, I went to the bathroom. And I was trying to be quiet because everybody was sleeping. Rosemary was in another room. She had moved in with her mother because they were renting a room out for all these Lauer people. And
The Lauers lived there at the
they
time.
moved in with their Aunt Mary and Uncle Leo and 4 kids. And Phil really didn't like that at all. But 10 years they stayed until after the Depression came.
Right.
He
So were they living there when you moved in?
No,
No.
but after.
They were living
Yeah.
nearby. They had their own home by then.
No, they didn't have their own home for a while. Phil's would be grandfather, Phil's father, must have done well. They had a big grocery store, and he used to be delivered to Mrs. Jones and come on in, Phil. We'll have a cup of
Well,
coffee.
anyway, the Lauers were not living there when you moved in with Grandma Hammond.
But
So-
when they did move in, Phil didn't like that at all.
Right. Well,
But he had to move. He had to sleep with Uncle Billy then.
he got used to it though,
But
and he had those.
a teenager. He was a teenager
know.
by then. He really resented. And
He got 3 sisters in the deal.
3 sisters.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. So,
4, really.
Yeah.
Ellen, Pat, Marge.
Right.
It was 4 girls.
Right.
Marge was probably only about 10.
Right. Right.
Could have killed him.
Right. Now, so you were having a baby. You were
And
you
I
were
come
getting
home.
the cramps and
And anyway,
you were-
she got up and she said, Miss Phil's mother,
right.
and she said, "Are you okay?" I said, "I don't know. I've had cramps for 2 or 3 hours." She said, "I think you're in labor." And this was like 4 o'clock in the morning. So she went and woke up Rosemary, her daughter,
Mhm.
Phil's sister. And she said, "I think we better get to the hospital. I think."
Right.
And so on the way to the hospital, I said, "I want to go see my mother." So we went to my mother's house
Yeah.
in Dixon.
Yeah.
And she woke up Margaret, who was, Chuck was overseas.
Mhm.
He was in that D-Day. But then and they were sitting having a cup of tea. That was your cure for cramps or whatever malady you had.
Right.
This will help.
Yeah.
I'm sitting there like this, vomiting. And he said, "Well, we better, this is 5 o'clock in the morning.
Right.
I'll troop up to the Dixon Hospital
Right.
with me." And they stayed, and then Rosemary had to go to work at 8 o'clock that night, or after daytime. I should have a job in Amboy. So she took my car to the hospital. I went to work,
Mhm.
and then Margaret had to go to work
But what time did you have your baby?
about 5 o'clock that afternoon.
All day, so it wasn't until that afternoon.
But they say, I mean, I was in a little room, a labor room, I guess. But now when I had Anne, or who's Laura, there was of course, St. Louis, and the labor room was at least 5 women,
Right.
one in different degrees of
Right.
labor.
Right.
So, anyway, I didn't make it. I mean, I had labor pains, but I knew she wasn't going to take all day, the 5th one, by that time.
Right.
And so the girl next to me, she'd been in labor, I don't know, she was several hours. And the doctor, my doctor, Dr. Bodeker, he only had 7 kids of his own. Mary knew as one of his daughters. But he said, "Oh, Pauline, you got 4 or 5 hours. You had to go to DePaul Hospital." I said, "I do not have 4 or 5 hours. I know now all about labor. This baby's going to be here by noon." So he left. Girl, there was just still, it was her first baby. And anyway, the nurse come in. She said, "How are you doing?" I said, "This baby's coming." They got me into that labor room.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
about 45 minutes labor.
So you had Carol.
And Mary,
Yeah, but and then
you and
right.
Paul and
Well, John.
John.
I know.
But I mean, you were born in St. Louis.
Right.
So was Laura.
Right.
At that hospital isn't there anymore. We were at St. Mary's in Clayton. But my doctor never did get back. And he wasn't going to charge me. He shouldn't have. I mean, babies come by themselves. And there's not epidurals like there is now. You don't have to have nothing, no pain, no nothing.
Right.
You just had it. But I think my mother was born at home. All our kids were born at home, except Bob. But I have to think Mother had problems because she went to the hospital. But I don't know, I was 10 years old, or no, maybe 11. And she had a boy. 2 years later, we were in the next room,
Mhm.
bedroom, another bedroom. 4 of us girls were in that bedroom. And I could hear my sisters laughing and talking. I said, "What's going on?" We said, "We think Mother's going to have a baby." "Oh, no." Mm-mm. I didn't know she was pregnant.
Mhm.
Dumb. Not very bright. You didn't know about menopause or nothing. I mean, that was just, you didn't talk.
Yeah.
You were
And they wore these.
the family way.
That's right.
Anyway, I heard Dr. McCoy, and why I remember, he must have walked down the hall. The doors were closed. And he says, "Oh, I think this one's about a 10-pounder. There was no scale. So we wrote down 10 pounds. She probably wasn't 10 pounds, and then we got to get up and see the new baby. But I heard this, she wasn't screaming, just kind of moaning, I guess.
Mhm.
And I thought, that must be a cat outside.
Yeah.
Was not too bright.
It had nothing to do with it.
I wasn't. I was shocked.
You just weren't.
And nobody, now when you have a baby, now, they make that baby
Right.
for the world to see. But then you just wore plain house dresses, I think. I don't
Right.
think there weren't maternity things, or just
No.
straight,
Shapeless.
shapeless.
things.
But bless her heart. But then she had a girl, so I knew I was right. Boys come from the hospital, girls really bright. See, because I was right. I said, well, that's why you get boys.
Well, what time are we going to church?
I don't know. You can go to 10:30 or 12.